Alright, so let's do another example on long division, just to find out if we can actually express this fraction as a mixed number. So we're going to set up our long division as follows. We're going to write the 19 on the outside and then the 3,893 inside. So as we did before, we're going to start by the first digit and then we're going to ask the question, how many times can we fit 19 into 3? But here what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little shortcut, which is if this number has 2 digits, then we should already be grabbing 2 digits to begin with. Otherwise, we're just going to be writing zeros that mean nothing on the top. So how many times can you fit this number into that number? Well, it turns out that if you multiply 19 by 2, it gives you 38. So we can actually fit it twice exactly. So 19 times 2, that's 38. So we write the 38 here, and we're going to subtract it by that. This becomes 0. Now we're going to bring down the 9. And we're going to ask the question, how many times can you fit the 19 into the 9? Well, in this case, it's going to be 0 times. We can't really fit it. So we have to write a 0 on top here. So 19 times 0, that's 0. Then obviously, we subtract those two together. That becomes 9. So it's still 9. And we're going to bring down the 3 now. So how many times do you think we can fit the 19 into the 93? Well, we can do the same trick that we used before, which is basically we split it up into 10 plus 9. And then we try to think of a number that we can multiply these two by that would add up to 93. So obviously 9 would be too much because this would become 81. So it has to be somewhere in between, I guess. So let's try 5. So this would become 50. This would become 45. And then that would turn out to be 95. So that's too large. So we have to definitely go down by 1. So let's try 4. That's 40 plus 36. That's going to be 76. And it looks like that's the only thing that we can fit in there. So we're going to write a 4 here. So now 19 times 4, that's going to be 76. And we're going to subtract those two numbers. And this turns out to be 17. So now what we have here is, well, we have our whole number here. We could continue this if we take into account the fact that there's a suggested 0 as a decimal here, and then we can bring that down and continue the process. But as we discussed before, we're only interested in expressing this number as a mixed number and not really as an exact decimal, because we don't even know if it will have a finite number of decimal places. So we're just gonna leave it at that. So this is going to be the remainder. So we can write 204 remainder 17. So what does that tell us about how we can write this number? Well, we know that we can represent it by the whole number 204. So we have the following expression. So we have 204, but we have a 17 left over. So that's going to be 17 over 19. So this would be the mixed number that corresponds to this fraction. And we can do the same thing that we did in the last video to check that this is actually the correct answer by doing the multiplication here, then adding here, and then dividing here. So we do the cycle kind of operation. So let's see what 204 times 19 becomes. We just plug that into a calculator. That's going to be, so let me just write here. This times that is going to be 3,878. Now we're going to add the 17 and we're going to divide once again by the 19. So the number on the top, the numerator, is going to become 3893 over 19, and thus we have come back to the original fraction that we started off with. So I guess the whole point of these two videos was just to give you a little bit of a revision of what long division is and how it can be used to express rational numbers in other forms. So for example, as a mixed number, which can be useful for essentially just getting an idea of the proportions that we're talking about, because this looks like a large number, but we don't really know how large it is. I mean, this kind of thing is not something that our brains can process. But if we represent it in this way, at least we know, well, it's a number that is larger than 204, but it's less than 205, so it's gonna be close to 205 anyway. So at least that way we can actually visualize what the proportion is. And we're going to be making use of this quite a lot in the next few videos when we talk more about things like recurring decimals and so on.